All right. Welcome to another installment of Happy Hour with Josh. As you can all see, I have a special guest with me. I will introduce Paula formally in a second. But before we get into all that, may I ask us all to raise a glass? Paula, what do you have there?
I have the really expensive $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's Cabernet.
Ooh, I'm so jealous. Our Trader Joe's don't sell wine. Uh,
What?
yeah, the crazy laws in Pennsylvania. So,
I
but
don't know how you're going to get through
rare.
a shutdown without cheap wine. That's
Two-Buck Chuck was a favorite in California. So anyway, thanks for joining us. I happen to be drinking a martini uh, because what the hell? It's 4:30, and
yeah.
if you don't want to partake in an adult beverage, we certainly endorse any wine, tea, or anything else. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Our topic for today is the grand reopening of our salons in our industry. And so we're going to dive through all the things that we should be thinking about and maybe just explore a few topics relating to that. Maybe not even necessarily give you answers, but more than anything, give you something to think about. So to formally introduce my happy hour pal, my drinking buddy, is Paula Henson. So first of all, I know what you're thinking if you do a lot of Zooms, which we all have lately, is that's one of those green screen fake backgrounds behind her, but she is literally outside in her backyard in Kentucky, and it has that picturesque surrounding. So it's beautiful.
Real. Here we are.
That is awesome. So anyway, so Paula, if a lot of you might know her from being at camp, but she is the co-owner of Cool Beauty, which is a fantastic salon support and distribution company similar to Art of Business. We actually share a few brands like Cezanne and Euphora. She's based in Kentucky, but covers a lot of states in the Midwest. In addition to that, Paula is a hairdresser of many years, and is part of the management team of Nova Salon, a really market-leading salon in Kentucky. So has an incredibly diverse background and is a great partner to work through these topics. So did I miss anything?
You got it. You got it. I actually stopped doing hair just in December. So I retired from taking a client hairdresser after 17 years. And so I help run Nova. We have 2 locations. And so I don't know, 20, 35 or so people split amongst the 2. And we do hair services. So it's a hair salon. We specialize in neck and above, color, cutting, all of that jazz. And and then Cool Beauty is just like an Art of Business. So that makes sense.
Cool. No pun intended. So, all right. So let's get into it. So we're all sitting back, and the truth is, nobody really knows when we're going to open. It's going to be probably different in different states. I would say New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware is probably going to be somewhat similar. That's the most of our clients. But so who knows when this is going to happen? But let's talk about what we should be thinking about, leading up to this time. So the first thing, I think there's a lot of stuff on the internet about sanitation. So maybe this is duplicitous. However, I think it would be wrong for us to talk about this topic and not get into sanitation. So let's just get that out of the way real quick.
Okay.
Paul, why don't you just maybe we start with your list and I'll just kind of interject. What do you think we need to be thinking about and doing in this new world? And let's just assume that the new world looks like there's no miracle cure, and we're all kind of going back into this with this need to have a heightened sanitation protocol, distancing, and the whole thing.
Absolutely. I think there's two things to think about from sanitation. One is legitimately keeping people safe and healthy. Okay, so your clients and your team. And then the second part of it is the perception, the customer confidence in, does your place seem clean? Like, do I feel comfortable coming in there? Because nobody's going to feel comfortable going to like a concert right now because of all the people. So how do we make sure that we showcase and we market our sanitation appropriately so our clients feel comfortable coming in? Because I think most people fall into one of 3 categories, and our staff is the same way. We have people that couldn't possibly care less, that think they're above getting sick ever. I actually fall in that category.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm like, oh, it's fine. And that's not realistic, but it's where my head is. And then we have people in the middle. They want to be clean, they want to be safe, they want to be healthy, they're going to follow the rules, do priorities. And then we have people that have a legitimate fear. And that fear could be because of a health concern, or it could be simply a fear. Either way, it's super valid. And we want to make sure that our clients and our customers that are the most fearful feel comfortable, and then everybody else needs to follow suit. I think is just like the way to approach it.
So, in terms of making people feel comfortable, what would be your communication strategy for whatever your sanitation policy is for your clients and for your staff?
Well, that's actually something for the staff. I think it's pretty easy. We've been doing Zoom calls. I know they're not mandatory or anything right now because, people are laid off and we're shut down. Nonetheless, I mean, people are contributing and being a part of it. So there will be things typed out. There'll be reminders in break rooms and dispensaries. There'll be emails sent. But for the most part, our team wants to do things right and they're listening. So the biggest thing for me, team wise, that doesn't really have anything to do with the clients is the break room. Like we will all eat like off the same fork, like it's gross, and we're okay with it from the past, but
every owner's been waiting for an excuse to shut down the break room for eternity. This is it. We finally have one. Is that what you're saying?
Here it is. Well, and I think we're going to ask people, don't bring coats inside, whether you work here or you're a client. I mean, hopefully it'll be warm enough where they don't need to. But if it is cold, just run inside. We don't need your coat. We don't want your cell phone sitting on the table. You're going to need to wash your hands when you come in. Your cell phone stays in your locker. Your purse stays in your locker. If your purse is too big for your locker, get a different purse. Wash your hands when you come in, wash your hands between clients. Like there'll be a lot of like, don't hug each other. Like it's obvious that we're not going to hug and handshake clients, and we'll communicate that. But that's going to be really hard for us to do with each other. I think day 1, day 5 is easy, but I'm more thinking about day 14, day 16, month 2. We really should keep sticking to it. So
let me and we've had a conversation about a little bit of this leading up to our Facebook Live here, but in terms of the communication, so just to hit the points of how you're going to communicate what the new sanitation policy is, not only to make your clients feel comfortable, but so they understand why you're not shaking their hand or whatever. So I think we talked about just to hit through, where are you going to do this with them?
Yeah. Email, Facebook, and Instagram, I think, are the easiest and the most obvious ones.
Right.
Our click ratio and our emails that we send out is about 15 to 18%. So if I'm sending out 1,000 emails, I have 15 to 18% of that, like 150, maybe 200 people opening it, let alone reading it. Mm-hmm. So I think email is a part of the story, but it surely doesn't accomplish everything. And then, we're going to put it out on Facebook. We're going to definitely put it in a form. So there's ways to make things images, and images show up better on Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to get that out to our team so they can post it on their personal pages too, so there's like that ripple effect, and it'll be the basics of, we love you so much at this time, no handshakes, no hugs, no guests. So if somebody's not getting their hair done, don't bring them in the salon because of social distancing, leaving your coat outside, things of that nature. We'll be making videos and posting. Videos do really well in the algorithm. Mm-hmm. So we'll be making videos for that. And then signage on the front door. I mean, at this point, people are used to reading the signage to go into the grocery. So I think we'll do all right with, some, if it's not raining, signs like actually out towards like parking lot area, signs on the door.
I think in the confirmation text, you could put tell them to bring a mask or any of those things.
And I'm still like researching because you only have so much room. So now I'm trying to analyze in my mind, in my confirmation texts that go out to my customers and my confirmation emails. The email's easy. We'll type it in there. So when they get there, you can link a video in the email, which would be kind of cool if people clicked on it. Actually, that could leave a whole really cool marketing idea that my brain just went on that I won't
link the video in the text, right?
Yeah, you can do it. See, I don't know if I can do it in the text. Hopefully I can. I haven't gotten that deep into it yet. But I know at least when they're replying with why on their email or their text, they'll see the basics, which is, we love you so much, but it is going to be different, when you come back. Okay. And then the big other thing is the face masks. That's still a big uncertainty as to whether it's going to be mandatory or not. So, if it is mandatory, having all of that.
Yeah, I would go into the assumption that it's going to be. Let's talk real quick, and then I want to get off on other stuff. In terms of tools, sanitation with tools in between clients, how are you looking at that?
I mean, there's things we're supposed to be doing anyway that our state board says, like you're supposed to wipe down your stations and your chairs between customers. If you remember going to your state board test, like they told you to do that, but I've never seen a salon actually do it. So we have to follow what we're supposed to be doing anyway. And I think we need to be really obvious about it with our customers. That's going to be the capes. They have to be washed between every customer, no matter what. Even having maybe some disposable capes handy if you get behind on laundry or if you don't have enough. And same with
I'll I'm sorry to interrupt. For
yeah.
art of business clients, we are looking into trying to stock up on art of business, or sorry, on disposable capes, aprons, towels. We'll see. Everything's been very difficult to get our hands on.
I know,
So,
hasn't it?
yeah.
And even like, so our salon has branded everything, like everything says Nova Salon. And I was even thinking maybe just ordering a bunch of blank white capes just so I can have more,
Mhm.
even if it's not the beautiful branding that I want. But we can launder in between customers, of course. I want to make it really obvious when we sweep. We're going to be spraying down the station, the countertops. I even want to be wiping down like the bottles. The big thing is the brushes and combs, because every wiping down, I think that's easy enough to picture. But anything that's plastic or metal can just get dunked in barbicide. That's pretty easy and it dries really quick. The big thing for me is the boar bristle round brushes. And again, you have like the reality of being clean and the perception of clean that we have to manage. And so I'm thinking we're going to empty out our drawers completely, so there's nothing in the drawer. And we're just going to bring our tools out for that customer,
And
like
show them
the
that
round brushes.
right, and
Mhm.
show them that they're clean, and yeah.
Fresh, it's clean, it's sitting here for you. They don't see it go in the drawer. They see it's just for them. Then it goes back and it gets
Right.
washed. I mean, soap and water should do it. That's what we use for our hands. So that should work for a boar bristle round brush. And then, I mean, you know how it is. You just blot it with a towel, then you blot it with a paper towel. And it only takes like 5 seconds to blow dry at that point because the water is absorbed out. So it'll be a little bit tedious and we'll have to at least have 2 sets of stuff. And that's, I guess, at this point, what I'm picturing until we understand if there's going to be any stronger mandates.
Yep. All right. One other thing, and then I want to move on to something else, is I think that you definitely want to get in. And I mean, a lot of it's perception, right? So there's no coronavirus in anyone's salon right now because there's been nobody doing hair for the
Mm-hmm.
last 3 weeks. But just making sure it looks clean. So getting in there and really having it visually clean. And the other thing is there's just each night a heightened amount of disinfecting and cleaning in between. Either if you're having shifts, we'll get into that actually. Let's use it as a transition. So
I think the big thing just to keep aware is like we're used to hair on the floor and it's not dirty. Like I would drop pizza face down and still take a bite of it. Like it's fine. But that's gross to clients. And like the dust bunnies under that arm wall over there that holds some product. And I know that a dust bunny doesn't have COVID-19. That it's not, but the
right, it's
perception
their
of
impression.
this place isn't clean. Like if you can't even sweep right, how do I have any confidence that what I'm touching is okay?
Right. There's a
So I
level
think,
of showmanship to this, or that might be a bad word, but presentation to
no,
the clients, reassurance that that's part of just the fact that it's sanitized behind the scenes is not necessarily as beneficial to you as if you actually are showing to them the sanitization policy.
and I
Right.
actually think showmanship's a really good word. You are putting on a clean show, and that's going to be really important.
Somebody asked if you can spray round brushes with disinfectant. Do you know anything about that?
Um, that's going to depend on your state board. It's different per states because some states allow UV light, but Kentucky doesn't. Some states allow barbicide as a spray. Some states allow alcohol. Some states soap and water is okay. It just has to dry. Some states allow dry sanitizers and some don't. But I can't imagine dry sanitizer would be enough for the situation. So that is a very state by state question.
Okay. All right. Let's get into I've got a lot of other stuff, so we're going to move on. We could get
Okay.
sucked into the sanitation rabbit hole, and the truth is, there's
We
so
don't
much
really.
of that out there. Let's get into booking and just scheduling. I mean, this is a Pandora's box, but I think it's important. So tell me what is your mindset, and then I'll pepper you with questions in terms of how you're going to work your schedule and your hours and your staffing, and let's just start there.
The basics are I'm assuming there's going to be a surge when we come back. Okay.
I
So
think
with that assumption, yeah, I'm assuming that we're going to need to spread out our shifts and our days open. I mean, for example, Nova's closed Sunday and Monday, and we haven't made any decisions yet, but I'm not putting it off that we might be open those 2 days.
I think you
Uh,
have to. Yeah, I think for me that's a definite.
I would imagine that's going to be the case unless for some reason there's like a slow rollout, like you're allowed 10 people in your business. You're allowed, like that would clean it up a little.
Well, to me,
And I don't
that's
know.
even more of a reason to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
because you got to stretch the same number of productivity out of more days, right? And yeah, so
Yep. That's a very good point.
yeah.
So I'm assuming we're going to be open 7 days a week. I'm assuming there's going to be additional shifting. Instead of open from 10 to 8, we might be open 8 to 10, like stretching it out on both sides. And based on that assumption, what I know is going to be happening is there's going to be a client shakeup. People that you have been doing their hair for 10 years and you're like, they're my girl, like no doubt they're coming back. They're going to go missing, and I just, it's unfortunate, but it's true. Anytime there's that separation of the relationship, people start looking around. So for me, it's very much about being very client centric, even more so than we already are, very customer service driven, and thinking anytime we can say yes to a customer, take that opportunity. And getting the moment we say, I'm sorry, we can't accommodate your service, I think we risk them being gone and trying somewhere else because they need to get in.
So, do you envision having 15-minute breaks in between to sanitize and make sure clients aren't overlapping? You're not going to do that. So, and by the way, that's
I think
okay.
it would be
Paul and I
very
will
smart.
disagree. We can disagree about that.
We're totally going to be. So I'm like looking at my hairdressers. I'm like, start running. You know what I mean? Like, work faster.
Just to get
Move your arms.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I do think we need to, we're lucky because we have an assistant staff, and we will, unless we're not allowed to for some mandated reason. And so we will have additional hands to help us clean. And I know that's our situation. It's not going to be everybody's. So it's yes. And it depends on your state too, if you have to schedule breaks.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me clarify. I think so obviously this is going to be, we don't know what the laws are. It's going to be different every state, but if there is situations where there's a limit to the number of people you can have in your business, you may end up having 15-minute breaks in between. You may have to have your clients wait outside, which as a result of that would be even more reason to have 15 minutes in between. And if you don't want to add 4 assistants in your business to raise the head count, you're going to be sanitizing. Each hairdresser will have to do their own sanitizing. So I think TBD really is on that one.
And I would do a dry run so we're not guessing at it as much. Like seriously, go in your business, and how long is it going to take you to walk here and here, spray this down, walk there and there, spray that. Like, you know what you're going to have to do. Time yourself. Is it a 3-minute task? Is it a 10-minute task? I don't know, because like our salon's huge. So it's going to take a second. But if your salon's smaller, maybe it's only going to take you 2. And you'll get fast at it, of course. It'll be the new normal.
So let me ask you this. Are you going to take walk-ins in the first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks? No. All right.
Where are they going to go? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I guess if there was a space available and someone had money in their hand, we would do the service. We're not going to turn down money, because we could, but there's just not, the appointments are going to be full. I don't think there's going to be.
I would think so. Right. So this might not be the case for Nova, but there's just from personal experience, there's a lot of salons that might have less hairdressers than stations. And I would say there's I'm going to make up a number. 50% of the salons in America might have 8 stations and 4 hairdressers. I'm just making up numbers. I'm just wondering if that is the situation, do you utilize those extra stations in a way, like, and maybe you have an assistant or 2 that normally isn't applying color, or you have junior stylists and aren't that busy. Like, and if that's the scenario that you're in, how would you look at that?
I'm going to look at it as how much money can I safely get in this business, period. So it might not be always the most aesthetically pleasing, but if I can take that chair and instead of it being here, 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 and here, but you know what? We do have this area. I can slide it over there for somebody to process. You know what? We do have this space. I mean, really, I would go in your space and think differently. Like, what are safe ways we can spread out?
Processing clients in the waiting area, because there's going to be nobody in the waiting area. In other words, if you book, so maybe you're not doing this, but if you do book 15 minutes in between, like I said, you could use the waiting area to process color.
Yep, absolutely. You can get, I mean, I'm not trying to get too ghetto or tacky, but you could get a fold-out chair and put it over there. You know what I mean? I live in Kentucky. Like, you don't even need to wear shoes in our salons, no. But I would think differently, and I think clients are going to be okay with it, and we want to do it in a very professional way, and everything needs to have dialogue, surrounding it. But be willing to look at it differently and use your space in the smartest way possible. And the goal is to be as profitable as possible in a safe way.
Yeah.
But it's still a business. So we have to do it business-like.
My feeling is there's a lot of salons that have junior stylists or assistants. People are just getting going that aren't currently double booking everyone, or they're just there's slack. Let's just call it, there's slack in the book. I would look at this period of time, and I think clients are way more flexible and willing to do whatever they have to do to get their color done, particularly, or whatever it might be. That you utilize those junior people in a way to maximize productivity. And so I'm just encouraging, I just want to, whatever that means to you, everyone, it's going to mean something different to every salon owner, but I think you really want to look at that.
Well, and I think something you really have to think about is the client's perspective of everything. So you never want that client to feel like you're handing them off to somebody else. Like, oh, I don't have time for you. So-and-so, she's new, she'll be fine. Like, she'll do your new growth. Like, it's really important that there's dialogue surrounding it and there's training surrounding it. And Nova's known for our assistant program. So for us, this is, second nature. If it's something that you're not currently doing, what I would do is say, okay, team, I'm making this up. All right. Our opening day is May 5th. So May 3rd, we're all in here. We're training on what we're going to do sanitation wise. We're training on how we're going to do the shampoos you're now helping with, or the color or whatever it is you decide to do. And then that way, when you do have your additional hands helping for the customer, it's more of like a Hollywood, I have multiple people helping me effect, as opposed to like, we're just kind of making this happen for you. But if you practice and you train, the dialogue is the biggest part of it. If you practice what we're going to say to customers and you practice how it's going to look and where people are going to go, people are going to love it.
I love it. I love it. So, I want to talk to you. I asked you this before. Video consultations. So this is sort of related and unrelated. Our normal 4-week, 5-week single process retouches or whatever they might be are now potentially 8, 12 weeks. I had thrown out the idea of doing video consults. I know you were sort of lukewarm on that because of your bigger business, but whether it's about video consultations or just the language and the dialogue of clients that used to pay, $100 or $80 for a single process retouch, they're using this much color. Now they're using this much color. Maybe it's corrective color. Maybe they just put box color on their hair. Who the hell knows what's going on?
It's going to be all of it. It's going to be all of it.
Tell me, just throw up on me on that.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts on this. So first, as a salon, you're a business and your intention is to profit from that business. So we should for no reason think it's acceptable to gift our clients 3 extra ounces of color. Okay. So if you have a new growth that was 4 weeks and now you have a new growth that's 12, it's taking you triple the amount of product. It's absolutely appropriate to charge for that. Here's the thing is you have to be able to describe that appropriately to the client so it doesn't look like you're doing some weird like surge pricing,
capitalizing on it.
I know you need me, so I'm going to up you. Like perception is reality.
Yeah.
It just is, And so what I'm thinking of, and I still have to work it out exactly with Benny, but what I'm thinking in this situation is first we have to train our staff on how to really talk about it. And say, hey, I see that it's been 12 weeks since you've colored your hair. I'm thrilled you're here. Love you so much. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Today, we're doing 3 visits worth of services on you. So you will notice there's a different product charge associated with it. It's $10. It's $12. It's whatever. Next time when you come in on a regular 4 to 6 weeks, you'll see it back to normal. And everybody's gonna be like, oh, okay. Like it won't bother them because it's said, the other
one important point, is for the salon owners out there, you want to make sure if it's truly a product charge, you just make sure you don't commission on that product charge.
Correct.
It's a extra product charge. Anyway, sorry.
Correct. Extra product charge. So the client will be paying for the product because that would be just normal and appropriate.
Right.
Yeah. The other big one. So that's gray coverage. I think that's a little bit easier to rein in. Just be aware. Like if you're hearing me say this and you're like, nah, it's fine. I'll just charge my people regular price. Like it's not a big deal. What I want you to know that it is a big deal for your P&L. Like it is a big deal for your product cost. And if you're spacing out appointments and you're opening different hours, you have different prices, costs rising as well. And the last thing you need is your back bar costs to go from 7% to 12% by accident. Yeah. Because that will matter. So don't put your head in the sand on this one. The other thing is blondes. So blondes are going to be a big deal. And when I say blonde, I'm thinking level 8 and above ish. You know, the client that can get their new growth touched up between highlights, but you know, they get highlights every other time. They have to have highlights this visit, period. They have to. And in order to make that happen, your front desk, your salon team is going to have to be prepared with dialogue for that, let alone blondes that are like level 10 and up. And they have to cover every 4 weeks because the hair keratinizes and you're going to get banding. And so if you have a blonde that's a 12-week new growth now, as opposed to a 4, it's corrective color. Now, let me back up before people are like, Paula, like, it's sort of corrective color. And so what I mean by that is there's not going to be a way that I'm aware of in the hairdressing world to pull off that beautiful, clean, crisp blonde that they're used to wearing without also giving them highlights. And even then, I think we need to have dialogue prepared for our customers to say, first, you absolutely have to have highlights this visit. So let's make sure we book you for color and highlight. And at minimum, that gives you time to do whatever you need to do. Second is we need to tell our customer, and hey, you know that beautiful crisp blonde that we've landed on for all of these years, it may take us 2, 3, or 4 visits to get your pre-shutdown hair just as perfect as now, because there is a truth to color living in hair and the way it works as it grows out versus the first visit. And I think if we're prepared to discuss it, we'll get less redos, less calls about like my hair seems so yellow and that type of stuff.
Which and you and I are we as we discuss this, we might not see this totally the same way.
Yeah.
If you feel like as a salon you have the capability to have video consultations with your clients, it sounds like a big task. However, I think that's an opportunity to have these conversations because this is not business as usual. They've stretched it out. You're going to end up, you don't want to upset them when they come in and realize their bill's higher. It could be, but also the booking time might be different. So they might go online and book for, you know, a 45-minute or 30-minute appointment. And it could be like, as you said, it could be an hour and 15-minute appointment. So
I want to describe why we disagree on this a little bit. So people are like, I don't understand. What's the problem? First, I am prepared to bring my front desk team back early. And whether you have an actual front desk team or you have stylists that are capable of it, and early could be a week, it could be 2 days, like whatever. I have no idea what warning we're going to get on this, right? And those people will be trained to hopefully bear some of the burden of this. So we are at least scheduled appropriately as best as possible, right? So that would be helpful. The other thing with the virtual consultations, I'm not against it. I think it's actually a freaking great idea. My question is pulling it off, because if you're a salon like we are, that client data, the privacy of the client data is governed by the salon. So the salon's in charge of making sure that client data stays private for the client's sake. And so, you know, if you have a way, which there are apps for it, we're talking about Salon Clouds and things.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of our customers have Salon Clouds app. If you have that app, they've built a consultation application. I forget the actual word, but so
teleconsultation.
What's that?
Is it teleconsultation?
I might have made that up, but it's a tele something. Oh. Yeah.
Well, if you have that, then this whole thing I think could work out really well. It's just a matter of, you know, client like hairdressers.
I get it.
Time out to do it. But you can't just share email lists of clients, or you can't just share cell phone numbers. That's the client's private information, and you got to make sure. So maybe somebody can come in the business and do it. Like we have a salon phone, you could do that from it for it. But I plan on making some videos, and I'm video capable, so that's helpful. And they're going to be like nice videos of me in the salon, and we're going to put them out on Facebook and Instagram, and I am going to talk about, hey guys, if you have box colored your hair, I want you to know that like we welcome you back. Like you know, because there's been so much.
Don't be shamed.
Yeah. We will not be shaming you today. We're thrilled that you're coming back. We love you so much. Simply tell us what you've used. The reason we're going to ask what you've used is because we need to know. And then we're just going to move on together. All right. There's no shame. Second, if you have hair that's been grown out for 12 weeks, please know that we'll have to have a discussion about the cost. And if you're a blonde and you normally get highlights along with your color, you got to get them. You got to get them. And so I'm not going to make the video in a way where I'm trying to explain everything because it's not going to work. There's too many situations. But I want to make it in a way where if a client does happen to see it and they call in, they'll be prepared with saying, hey, do I need to book my appointment any different?
Right.
So at least the conversation is prompted. That would be my goal.
So we talked about this earlier, and this was interesting. I feel like it was interesting to both of us. I don't know that we figured it out, but okay. There are certain services, and for me, Blowdrys are a big part of my thinking on this. I would say half the salons out there bundle their pricing. So when you get a single process retouch, it includes the blow dry, or a haircut includes the blow dry. The other ones are a la carte. I loved what you said, which is, we certainly don't want to turn anyone down, but there was ways to communicate that maybe for the salons out there that want to, save time, and instead of doing blow dries, do another single process color to accommodate all the clients trying to get in. I think you said some great verbiage for that. I actually am forgetting what you said.
Yeah, I can bring it back for you. The big thing is that perception is reality. Okay. And if a client, for any reason, let me back up just for 2 seconds. I think most of our clients, at least the ones I've talked to and I have engagement with, are dying to come in and they love us and they're wonderful and excited and they'll do anything for us. Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. So it's not really the person I'm worried about because we know they're great. The assumption then goes that like everybody's just going to be okay with anything. And I don't think that's true. And so I think the moment we inconvenience the client in any way, or it sounds like that their visit is about us instead of it being about them, is the moment that we make ourselves very vulnerable to that client not coming back again. And we are an oasis. We are an escape. I mean, the realities of right now are kind of scary. Some people have some very big, very overwhelming emotions about it, and they're going to come to us to feel better. So I'm not in a position to turn down a service. If you're coming to me for that, I got to give it, I am, however, in a position to train my team with really great dialogue to train and attempt to move the client in the best possible way for the salon. And in doing so, I'll give you like an either or. So instead of saying, hey, we're not offering blowouts right now so we can get people in and out quicker so we can accommodate more services, like that sounds awful, right? That might be the intent of looking at the business, but the client, it just sounds nasty. So instead we could say, for your safety, for your comfort, for your convenience,
so you can get in and out quicker.
Yeah, so you can get in and out quicker. So if you do have a situation where you're bundling your services where color always comes with a blowout and you're hoping not to have to do the blowout, hey, customer, for your safety, for your convenience, so you can get in and out quicker, we want to keep the value of your service high. So we're going to upgrade your conditioner for you. We're going to do this complimentary conditioning service, and whatever brand you carry, there's always an option.
Right. So normally like a $20 treatment or $25 treatment.
So now your value is high and they leave without the blowout, but they don't feel like they've been gypped or missed anything. Because what I'm not a fan of is discounting. Oh, here, we'll just give you $20 off, head out. Like, no, we need to capture that money. Absolutely.
It's a great way to do it without losing your income. I love it.
Increased value. There's a million ways that I haven't even thought of yet that your audience is thinking of right now on how they can increase value. Conditioners are an easy part of it, but there's a ton of ideas and a ton of ways that you can increase value. Retail is a huge part of it because the markup's nice. So yes, increase value in some way, increase value. And if you're going to turn down a service, and then the theory in general is anytime you have to tell a customer no, you do so by ending the sentence with a yes. So we can't do that. However, what we can do is, we're not accommodating XYZ at this time, but what we can do is this. And so if you train that into your dialogue, it makes telling people no a lot easier and it makes them a lot happier about it.
Love it. I love it. We got a question, which was, and I'm going to answer the question, but I'll let you also give your version of the answer. It was about, should we upcharge people because of all these sanitation things? Um, that
Thought.
that that is certainly up for discretion. Um, we have a lot of salons out there that do that already for Green Circle. They pass on an environmental charge. If it's going to cost you an extra $2 or $3 a service to do all this enhanced sanitation protocol, maybe you add $2 or $3 to a service and call it sanitation, fee or whatever. Personally, I'm not. I'm conflicted, but I'm not against
Yeah.
it. Let's just say it. I'm not against it.
I'm not against it, but I'm always in the client's perspective. And so as a client, you might have someone that's like, yeah, $2, no big deal. Sure, but then you'll have somebody that's like, I'm sorry, you decided to open this business. That's the cost of doing business. I don't know why you're charging me for it.
What if you
So
did it what if you asked them, how about this? I just thought of this on the fly. Maybe it was
Okay.
Martini, which by the way, we're going to have to end soon because I'm empty. What if you just ask for a donation? Like, listen, we're not charging you today, but we're there's a $2 donation for sanitation cost. I don't know. Just lay it optional. Is that wacky?
You can make it optional. We do donations for, we are big into Toys for Tots, into breast cancer awareness
All
month. So
right,
we
now you're
actually
going
ask.
to hold that. Yeah, listen, now you're
Yeah,
making
so I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, but maybe you
right.
could. Clients are so nice. You never know. I don't know if I'd create a system around it. But what you can do is you can put these costs in there for the client without making it a big deal and without having to always have dialogue. And everybody's situation's different. So, but add 10 cents to every retail bottle you sell. There you go. And if you usually do a fancy bag, maybe you have to lay off of it for a little while. If you do, like we do, really nice beverages for our customers, and we're thinking, you know what, we're
Well,
getting rid of straws, we're getting rid of glasses, we're
that,
getting,
that was actually a
there's
question
different
that came
ways.
up that I was going to ask you. Is someone asked about beverages. You could literally eliminate your whole beverage service and take whatever money you spend on coffee and wine and just allocate that to sanitation.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to eliminate our beverage service, but we're going to change the way we do it. We've always been really proud of like the fact that we have a napkin and a glass and an actual straw, like it's an actual beverage. And I think that's going to have to for a little while, it's like, here's your can of Coke. I don't think it's gonna be that tacky, but and not that that's
A
tacky.
Pabst Blue Ribbon and a cigarette.
There, see, that would be amazing,
I was just
but
thinking Kentucky. I'm sorry. I don't know what. I don't know
there's ways. I think there's ways to save, and there's ways to maybe use your rewards in a clever way. Because that's an option. I think there's ways to pull in the money you need for the sanitation, because it is going to cost. It's absolutely going to cost.
Yeah.
And I'm all about passing on cost to customers when it comes to like product charge. That makes sense to me. But again, our customers invoice that they see, it doesn't say
it doesn't have a line item.
dollars. Yeah, like it's all just built in there. So but
Maybe
my
$2
big thing with pricing is no discounting as best as possible. Come back strong.
Yeah. So maybe you just add $2 and don't even say anything. And if they ask you, you say, hey, listen, we're adding it's part of the product charge, blah, blah, blah. All right. Just because we're running a long time. You mentioned retail. A lot of our salons are using My Salon to Me. So they're selling their clients on e-commerce, but whether you're doing that or not, there's hopefully a huge pent-up demand on retail. So I know you've said we should have a sick killer retail promotion waiting for our customers, because we could have the best 3 or 4 weeks of retail of our salon lives. So talk to me about that.
Well, we cannot afford the opportunity right now to miss any bit of profit. So what I would do, and we're Mevo, so I can tell, in Mevo it's called sales ranking. There's a sales ranking report, and what you can do is pull your top sellers, and you can pull your bottom, you can, the top 50, the bottom 50, you can rank everything. And I know there's gonna be a way to do it everywhere. And so I would pull a sales ranking report, and I would make sure my top 10, my top 15, I am stocked as much as my budget could possibly stretch and allow itself to, because you give me 3 or 4 days in that salon, I'm cash positive again. I can do it. So make sure you have a ton of your top sellers, because now is not the time to back order. But I would also make sure you have plenty of your bottom. Maybe it's just 1 or 2. Maybe you do keep it tighter. That any possible sales opportunity right now we have to be available for. And I do think that retail is a really, it's a math smart way to add value and to add like, because, customers want a deal too. They might be out of work and still want their hair done. And so if I'm saying, hey, look, I know you've been affected by coronavirus as well, my incentives are going to be retail driven as opposed to service driven. My service charges are staying high, they're staying the same, they're staying, as always, maybe even increasing for product charges. But retail, I have a little bit of room on. I can do a buy two, get one half off. I can do a buy three, get one free. I can call my distributor and say, what promotions do you have from last quarter that you didn't sell out of? What promotions do you have right now? What's a creative way to use my rewards? You can call and, travel sizes, like Sephora gives away free travel sizes. Maybe there's a way you can get your hands on some of that. There's a lot of ideas, and it brings the retail as a part of the additional value added or the way to save as opposed to discounting the service.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to go off subject for a second, but I believe that now that the unemployment checks and stimulus checks are coming in for most of America, that perversely, a lot of our customers are going to have more money than they've had in some time. So I wouldn't assume that they don't have discretionary income to spend on products and what have you.
Assume nothing. And I will tell you this conversation I had with my husband last night, and this will sound so fiscally irresponsible, but it is the way I feel. And then you can take it for however you want. We're lucky that he and I are both currently employed. Okay. So we still got that check. It happened. It deposited into our account. And I said to him, and I was like, look, and we have a bunch of kids, so it was a lot of money. And I was like, look, I said, I think we have to spend this, because he's like really on this kick right now for saving, which is wonderful. I said, I think we have to spend this. And he was like, what? Because it's so not me.
Do your duty to American to like keep it in the economy. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And I really believe it. And I believe it. And it's so not me. But this money that came in from this stimulus check, I don't need to pay my rent with it. Okay. I'm lucky. I don't. And we will have clients in this situation, and I don't need to catch up on a bill. And so it's not, I don't see it as a savings account addition. Paula's opinion only, you do you, right? I think we have to spend it. I think that's what it was given for. And as a small business, I need my customers to spend it with me. I need them to. I want them to.
I can tell you, sorry, but just based on these internet orders that I'm seeing and on my side of me, and they're entering comments and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you have this, and I'm so happy to support you." And I'm taking that and saying, when they get into your business, they are going to want to give you money and support you as a small business.
Story after story. We had one, this isn't my salon, it's another salon, but a client bought $2,000 worth of gift cards just to give. Another client bought $10, $50 gift cards to hand out to people. People have money right now. We can't assume anything. And I will say, we're spending our check that we got. We're intentionally spending it. We're intentionally spending it in our community.
Yeah. And it's because screwed.
My kids are fine. Screw them, they're fine. But we are a small business in the community. And if somebody were to come into our business and buy 5 pieces of retail, and if multiple clients did that, it would affect us in such a positive way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, that I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So whether you do it in super hyper incentive for your staff or for your clients or both,
I'm not afraid of increasing retail commissions during this time. Right. Now, you can't go above a certain percentage. You got to do your math. But if you're at 10 and you go to 12, go to 13, incentivize your team, do a spiff, do every 10 items you sell of this brand, I'll give you a piece to take home. There's all kinds of stuff you can do.
Awesome. I love it. All right. For me, two parting thoughts, because I want to let you guys go and I have to refill my drink. Of course, it is happy hour. One thing I was looking at my notes, I forgot to mention when we were talking about staffing and booking is one thing we may want to consider is having, and this is consider this an idea or speculation. We'll see how life unravels, but you may need to have 2 or 3 shifts with your staff, and depending on what your personal staffing situation is and how big your salon is and how much staff you have. But there's a concern that I have that this disease is going to be with us for 6, 8 months, forever. I would say it's almost a certainty that one of your customers or one or more of your staff is going to get it, and most likely they'll be fine and they'll recover or what have you. But you will have to quarantine, self-quarantine, do something to what, if and when that happens. And so my thing is like, look, if one of my hairdressers work with all of my hairdressers, do I have to quarantine all my hairdressers? I don't know. Maybe I will. But if I have three separate distinct shifts that never interact because they're never working together or they're never within 6 feet or whatever the case is, maybe I would only have to quarantine a third of my staff and I can stay in business. And maybe I'm being hyper concerned, but that's just one thing we want to consider. It makes more sense for some salons, less sense for others.
Well, it works really well if you have a staff that does 3 or 4 days a week anyway, as a lot of them, you can spread them out really nicely. Our staff is full-time.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't work for us. Our staff is full-time anyway, 5 days a week. So, but we're gonna be spreading things out, no doubt. So that'll help. We are gonna be doing things though that, and I wonder sometimes if my team even watches these things I do, because they'll be like, oh, that's good information. But we'll definitely be like assigning phones. Like, this is your phone, like our front desk. Like, nobody else is allowed to touch your phone.
Share a phone, right?
Yeah, no sharing of phones. I mean, phones are going to be a big deal because they're so close to your mouth and you think about it, you know. So there are going to be ways that we draw lines in the sand. And I think if you have the capability to fully shift, it's brilliant. We won't have it because our customer demand just won't call for it. Again, though, we're lucky because our salon is massive not massive, but it's pretty big in its space. So we can spread people out a little easier. So every situation has its pros and cons. And I would just encourage you to think about all your pros and use them as best as possible. Like, we're not going to be able to shift. That's not a pro for us, but we can spread out. That is a pro for us. And how, based on your situation, can you set yourself up for the most profitability? Because otherwise, why are we in business? Like, we've got to make sure that the hairdresser is going to come out of this profitable. We have to make sure the salon owner comes out of this profitable as well.
Sweet. All right. I think on that note, peace. Thank you.
My goblet's almost empty. So
I really appreciate it. Yeah, you didn't get enough drinks. I was drinking that. You were talking too much.
I don't know if you noticed, but I changed goblets 3 times during this.
I did not notice that. That's actually genius. All right. Say hi to your partner in crime, Benny, for all of us, and
and Jeff too. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and Jeff. Yes, Jeff. How could I leave you out, Jeff? But to all the Art of Business peeps out there, as always, miss you, love you. Our whole team misses and loves you. We wish you the best. And thanks for hanging for happy hour. Bye.
Bye.